After years of research, government says it will not introduce genetically modified organisms or GMO foods in Ghana. The announcement was made by Agric Minister Dr. Yakoto yesterday at the results fair underway in Accra. There's been resistance by many NGOs to the planned introduction of GMOs, with campaigners citing safety concerns. The Agric Minister says research done by Ghanaian scientists is enough to cater for the country's food needs without adopting artificial methods.
I'm a scientist. I believe in science. GMO is a method of science, but it's like cracking a nut with a sledgehammer. Ghana doesn't need to go GMO. We've done a lot of, our scientists have done a lot of research on creating new varieties for all kinds of situations. You'll be amazed if you go to the universities and the CSIR organizations, the amount of research that they've done, the work that they've done. The difficulty is that most of their products are sitting on the laboratory shelves and are not coming out to serve the farmers. The essence of planting for food and jobs is to do precisely that, to bring these well-researched varieties created by our own scientists, to bring them to the farmers. And to do that, you need what we call the extension services. The extension service in this country was almost dead when we came into office. I was supposed to have 4,400 extension officers around the country, and this figure has stayed the same for 40 years. And yet, when I did a count, I had less than 1,600 extension officers. I had to go to cabinet of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo to plead that they should be given permission to resuscitate the sector. Approval was given, and now we've employed 2,700 this year alone to bring that service back so that the connection between our scientists and the farmers will be re-established. So, my lady, forget about GMO. There's no GMO in what we are doing. It's only when we have exhausted all the beautiful work done by our own scientists that we may have to fall on it, and that will be another 100 years, because there's a lot that our scientists have done using traditional breeding methods.
That's the Agric Minister there. Well, the announcement has been welcomed by anti-GMO campaigners, Food Sovereignty Ghana. Edwin Kwekuando Bafo is spokesperson, and he joins me in the studio. Mr. Bafo, this must be welcome news for you.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to your listeners. It is welcome news if it is the truth. If it is exactly what is going to happen, then this is extremely welcome news. However, we are quite doubtful, given the fact that the government agencies who were posturing to, develop commercially viable genetically modified organisms have not changed their stance. So here I'm talking about the CSIR, National Biosafety Committee, and so on and so forth, Ministry of Agriculture. It must translate into what they're doing. And I believe that the taxpayers' money will still be involved in some sort of GMO related research or other. So it seems that the minister's words are at loggerheads with the actual position on the ground.
Why do you think this is so?
Well, I'm sure that you know that we've moved to the courts, the law court. We've appealed a case that we sought for an injunction on the release of commercially genetically modified cowpeas. We're still waiting to hear back from the court on that, but we've started with a substantive case. And as far as we know, the Ministry of Agriculture, CSIR, and other agencies are still posturing to develop commercially, amounts of GMO cowpea, GMO rice, and GMO cotton. So if the minister is saying that Ghana is no longer going to have anything to do with GMO, it would be very welcome, but this must be translated on the reality on the ground, that these government agencies should then be changing their posture. We should have no preparations for the commercial release of genetically modified cowpeas.
Do you have evidence that there is such preparations?
This is what they themselves have said, and that announcement, informed us to move to court. But this was a release by the CSR themselves. Of their plans. So we are hoping that this will translate into real action and policy on the ground. Burkina tried genetically modified cotton for 5 years. It was a disaster. They have now gone back to the conventional strains. And
I've had, not to interrupt you, but I've had conversations with people proponent of GMO foods, and they've said that what happened in Burkina Faso, I mean, there are certain things that may not necessarily work in a particular climate, but may work in another climate. So just because it didn't work in Burkina Faso doesn't necessarily mean that GMOs don't work or GMOs create such problems.
Okay. Well, before a genetically modified organism is released into the environment, there's lots of research. There are lots of protocols, actually, international protocols, which govern the release of genetically modified crops. So in Burkina's example, there would have had to be research and evidence to show that the expected outcome, what they call an event in the genetic engineering world, that event would be harmless, it would be what the country was wanting. So you don't get a whole nation switching from one type of cotton to another type of cotton without knowing that they would end up with a lower quality fiber, a shorter quality fiber. This shows you that the unintended outcomes of genetic modification are real. And for this and other reasons, we've waved the red flag about the need for Ghana to shift away and rather concentrate on, developing agroecology, which takes care of the planet and at the end of the day is going to provide the food that all the organic markets in Europe and the US are now looking for, that's the long-term vision.
I mean, but finally, I just want to find out from you, what is the fundamental position of food sovereignty against GMOs? Again, I've had interactions with GMO proponents who say that what GMO actually does is to just take out certain catalysts that make food, for example, rot quickly or faster, to take it out and replace it with something that makes it, either take it out or replace it with something that makes it rot slower, or just take it out completely so you have a long shelf life for these kinds of foods. What's the fundamental?
Well, what you're explaining sounds very cute, because if that was what it was in Europe, in Germany, in France, in Holland, in the USA, sorry, not the USA, in Germany, France, Holland, Greece, Russia, this would be a perfect, reason why they would allow GMOs to be grown in their territorial boundaries. But as I speak, all these countries and about 38 others, it is illegal to grow GMOs on their soil. The owner of Monsanto, who just bought Monsanto, Bayer, is the largest agrochemical company in the world. They're a huge pharmaceutical in Germany. They are not allowed by German law to plant one GMO plant on German soil. Syngenta is a Swiss company that is not allowed to plant one GMO soil on Swiss soil. So we need to, open our eyes and see exactly what is going on here. This is about the control of food resources. It's about the control of populations. And basically, we stand to lose a lot from our biodiversity. Where we are located in the tropics, you see that we have a whole range of flora and fauna. Now, what GMO is going to do is going to clamp down and reduce that biodiversity that we have. And all independent research around the world shows that GMOs are injurious to human health and the environment. We have submitted testimony to the court that was provided by international caliber scientists, people who are molecular virologists, people who worked in the area for 30 years. One particular gentleman has done research on the cowpea for over 30 years. And it's quite unfortunate the position that he has compared to the position of the government, saying that there should be no reason why we should be going ahead commercializing the cowpea. But that is for a matter before the courts.
Okay.
But if the minister's words are true, it should reflect in the government policy. So there should be no more GMO talk in CSR corridors. There should be a change, But I like what he's saying, that there are locally produced versions of innovation which are not genetically modified, like Obatampa maize. That's produced by local scientists. It's not genetically modified. There's been no movement of genes from one organism to another. This is the kind of innovation that we are suggesting that our local scientists can do.
Okay.
We have things like Tech Banchi, which we need to promote. So if the minister's words are true, we should soon see it reflecting on the ground. But we are highly doubtful, and this shouldn't be election banter. It's 2020 around the corner. And
you suspect this has something to do with election 2020?
We suspect that on the ground, Ghanaians, as he says himself, are not seeming to be favorable to GMO. And so if you're going to put yourselves before the people, at election, you humble yourself. You come down to everybody's level and you even shake hands, you talk one-on-one. At this point is when he's probably feeling like the power of the people is in their hands. The power to decide what you eat is in your hands, is in my hands. And so we think that this is election banter.
You think that this is election banter?
But we would love to be proved wrong.
Okay.
This is something we would love to be proved wrong by.
Only time will tell, I guess.
We all living in Ghana here.
Well, you've heard from Food Sovereignty Ghana, Edwin Kweku Andobafor. He is a spokesperson for Food Sovereignty Ghana. They welcome the news from government, but they're saying that they're suspicious and they really hope that they'll be proved wrong. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.